I'm Wendy Capewell, an experienced counsellor and psychotherapist. I work with so many people who feel that they're the only ones struggling with the issues that they share with me. Possibly, like many of you, they feel so alone. And so the aim of this podcast is to talk to guests who have their own stories to share, their experience of the struggles that they've been through, or maybe they're continuing to live with, offering their insights as well as their inspiring journey. So let me introduce my guest.
Hi, Kristeen. I think we've spoken several times now,
Yeah.
and I'm going to introduce you to the listeners because I think you're pretty awesome. And this is Kristeen Pollock of KPing Fit, and we talked several times. We talked about relationships. We talked about emotional issues, and she is amazing. She's mostly on Instagram and she's very, very busy giving out advice, whether it's about physical fitness or she has a real passion about talking about menopause and perimenopause.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a big, big subject. And it's very, very current at the moment because whereas it was such one of those deep secrets that no one ever talked about, now everyone's talking about it and women feel more able to. So I think, let's start talking about it, Kristeen.
Yeah, definitely. You're so right. It's just such a thing that nobody spoke about for ages. Like you bet with a group of your girlfriends and you might be suffering from some of these symptoms, but nobody's even like talking about it. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I went through the menopause. It was enforced because I'd been having chemotherapy and that stopped it dead. Yes. So it was part of the cancer treatment and my periods just stopped. And I was said one of the benefits actually of having chemo was it stopped my periods and I didn't have to go through all that, when's the next one, or the heavy bleeding or the absence of it for a while. I just didn't. It just went bang, just one day, no more, ever.
That's crazy though as well to hear you think about that. You talk like my period's gone, I'm happy with that, whereas that's the way we're kind of taught about it. Like at school, your periods are going to come, it's a bit of a pain in the neck, you'll be but see, really when you start to learn about your hormones, you can actually harness the power of your period. Certain times of the month in different phases of your period, your brain thinks differently. So if you're like a business owner, say the second half of your period, that's a time where you feel a wee bit more introvert. You can do deep work then at the first half of your period. So days like the first day you bleed to day 14, you feel really sociable. So I mean, that's a good time to channel stuff like that. But we weren't taught this. So like it's such a good power to have, like understanding your hormones and taking care of your ovulation and learning how you'll feel at different times of the month and then actually using it to your advantage.
And that is the problem because I mean, all the time I had periods, they were painful, they were uncomfortable, full 7 days, they were just really, it wasn't anything I ever looked forward to or felt happy about. And I didn't understand it. You're right. It wasn't even periods weren't talked about. It was just something that happened and then that was it. So, yeah.
But even going to the doctors and you go with a painful period or I'm like debilitated lying in the couch, my blood flow is really heavy, you're just kind of sent on your way with a packet of painkillers. Do you know what I mean? And women, it just goes back to what we spoke about before. Women will just suffer and get on with it. Now, if you're telling me a man would go to the doctor and say his hair's thin and he's got no sex drive, he can't move off the couch for 5 days, would he get sent away with a packet of painkillers? No. So, do you know what I mean? All these women were just expected to go on with it and it's not normal. It's not normal to have these period symptoms. You're meant to get a wee grumble and then you have your period that comes 28 days, 29 days, boom. You're not meant to have really bad cramps, sore boobs. Those are all signs of a hormone imbalance. So you need to investigate that, look into that. Why is that happening? Change things. But we're not taught.
No, we're not. No, you just grin and bear it. You're right. And we have no idea what's going on. And probably half the GPs in the country don't know it either. So what do we do? But then that's where I think that you have got so much information that's valuable to women. And really, I love watching either your stories or your interviews or whatever else is going on, because it's so informative.
Yeah, because there's a huge gap, isn't there? Like, you get taught a wee bit about your period at school and then nothing. I mean, you've got all these things that change in your mid-30s, perimenopause, the menopause, and you literally go into these things blind, not knowing. So you're not even taught. I mean, even like a hot flush, like years ago, I just used to think, oh, you get a bit sweaty and you get a bit warm, but actually a hot flush has got this huge effect on your central nervous system. Like, your whole body is on fire. It's not just a wee bit of sweat. Do you know what I mean? So women even getting a hot flush, when they get this big rush of heat, they can sometimes get a panic attack, they get upset, they feel anxiety, because they're not actually taught, by the way, a hot flush isn't what you think it's going to be. Just as simple as that. And you're just left.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was an embarrassment. You know, you get hot and you look and somebody just looks at you and you go, oh, you're having a bad time, you're having a hot flush, oh, you're going through the menopause, and you feel so embarrassed about it.
You do, you feel a certain type of way about it, don't you? And again, we're not talking about it, but I mean, other things that I got lots of women who are confused about what's happening with them, because things like insomnia, that's happens to you in the perimenopause. That's to do with your estrogen dropping and your progesterone dropping faster than what your estrogen drops. So these things will make UTIs, like, so you've got urine infections, don't know what's going on with that, migraines, vaginal dryness. Like, these are all symptoms of perimenopause that we're not taught about. So you don't know what's wrong with you, and you're already going through a big emotional shift, aren't you, when you're starting to, you know, basically women in aging can be quite a touchy subject. So already you're trying to reset, never mind with all these added symptoms that you don't really know what's going on with your body. You just feel totally lost and totally out of control.
Yeah. And so most of the symptoms that you're talking about, they come under the perimenopausal. Yeah.
Perimenopause is where you'll get most of the symptoms, to be honest. Menopause, you're kind of out the other side of it. So,
and that's the bit of, again, I don't think it's talked about enough.
No, I mean, when you're 35 years old, that's when you'll start to have some hormonal changes and you're going towards the perimenopause at 35. Now, I've got women that like 60 something and don't think they're still to go through the perimenopause, and like, you're like, no, 35, like, that's the age we start to go into perimenopause. So do you know what I mean? And that's because your estrogen drops, but your progesterone drops at a quicker rate. And if you imagine these two, estrogen is like your kind of hyperactive friend, and progesterone is a hormone that's soothing, will stop you feeling anxious, you'll get a good quality of sleep, you're more chilled. So if you imagine that that's dropping and estrogen's not, you're going to feel a wee bit on edge, you're going to feel maybe a wee bit moodier, you're going to feel a wee bit short-tempered, but it's actual hormonal changes that are happening within your body. But if you knew that and you were able to recognize that, you're already a step ahead, you know?
Yeah. And I think that is the problem, because if you don't know what's going on in your body, then, you know, how do you cope with it? You just get frightened or upset or frustrated. And yeah, I think knowledge is power.
100%. You don't feel good mentally if all that's going on with you and you don't really know why. It doesn't put you in a good headspace, you know? And the perimenopause is actually a really good window of opportunity for you to feel really great in the menopause, but we don't take advantage of it because we don't know, we don't understand it. So if you take really good care of yourself, 35 into your 40s, then you'll reap the benefits of that when you no longer ovulate at all, you know?
Right. Okay. So when women get all these symptoms, what can they do? Can they do things for themselves?
Yeah, I mean, my clients, I mean, I've trained as a PT for about 20 years. My clients that do the best when they're hitting the perimenopause and the menopause are the ones that do train, they do take care of themselves, they're eating well, they make sure they're getting the sunlight, they're doing their walks, they prioritise their sleep. So, I mean, it makes sense to me logically that if you're going to take better care of yourself, these symptoms won't be so exasperated, you know, because
Right.
things like stress will make these symptoms worse. And I know that's easy for everybody, it's different for everyone. We were just talking about my stress, and stress can be a wee bit more as a woman is in her 40s, because sometimes you're looking after your parents, your kids are a bit older, you're doing, so you can be a wee bit more stressed. So you've got to manage your stress. Inflammation in the body will make the perimenopause worse as well. So that's things you need to be careful of. The diet, what you're taking in, foods you're eating, you know. So that's when diet comes in. Gut health as well. So your gut health needs to be good. So I always recommend things like bone broth, making sure you're taking your fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, sourdough bread, and really like looking at foods in a different way. Does it harm or does it heal? You know, eat real food.
Right.
And also another thing that is a main point in the perimenopause is when women are training, so they're exercising, is not to hit it too hard. That might sound a wee bit backward to some people going, what do you mean? Because obviously weight gain's a bit of an issue, but you need to focus on strength training, walking, yoga, that type of thing. There's no point in adding more stress into a body that's already high in stress with the perimenopause happening. So that's what I would say to help. In terms of supplements, there's a couple of things you can take. Do you take any supplements, Wendy? Are you a supplement person or are you just foods?
No, I take supplements as well. Yeah.
What are you
Yeah.
taking?
Oh gosh. So vitamin C and vitamin D, definitely, especially over COVID, because I was, knew that I needed to try and keep my immune system going.
Yes.
Probiotics, not all the time, but I do take
You
them.
don't need to take them all the time, but
No. Yeah, but they're in the cupboard. I don't take them every time. What else do I take? I take zinc. And I also take magnesium because I get muscle cramps. And so, so those are the main ones that I take.
100%. Magnesium's a great supplement and a really good supplement if there is anyone listening who's in the perimenopause and they're finding sleep as an issue. Because the issue is the perimenopause can keep you up. So then the next day you're an emotional wreck. You feel shattered, your cortisol levels are high, so you're craving sweet things, so you're eating rubbish, so you're putting on weight and you're even in a worse headspace. So what I find with my females that are in the perimenopause is there's a good supplement that's got magnesium, because that helps your nervous system, that helps calm things down, and taurine, which is an amino acid that helps you relax and get a good sleep. So you can actually buy that combination together, magnesium and taurine, take it at night before your bed, get a good sleep. And then that's half the battle. If you can try and get a good sleep, you're in just a better headspace. Do you know what I mean? When you wake up. So prioritizing sleep. But
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, sleep is so important. And I often talk to clients about sleep hygiene. We have a routine to get up in the morning, but when people go to bed at night, they never think about it.
No.
They'll kind of turn off the TV when they've been watching something really, a drama or a horror movie or something like that. They take their phones to bed and they're on the internet. They don't allow their brain to calm down and relax and get sleep ready, let alone the hormones. I mean, cortisol is up here somewhere, isn't it? And you've got it. It's supposed to kind of ease off by the end of the day so that you're sleep ready. But if you kind of like that, you're jangled. It's like being plugged in 24/7, isn't it?
I know, and that's the thing in the perimenopause, our melatonin production isn't as good, and melatonin's the hormone that helps us sleep. And when you're looking at the blue light of your phone, of the computer, of the telly, that's also blocking melatonin. So it's like you don't need anything else that's causing an issue. So, I mean, I always say the blue light blocking glasses off Amazon, they're like £5. Put them on about 7 o'clock at night. So it's a few hours before you go to bed. Don't too late towards your bed as well, because that's going to keep you up.
Yeah.
And The magnesium's really good as well, and the taurine to help you just relax that central nervous system. But again, it's making the effort, and it's, you know, not just going to bed straight away after watching the telly or watching that next episode. See, when you're watching Netflix and you're going to go to bed, but the next episode comes, and you're like, oh, I need to stay up now. Do you know what I mean? So it's just making that effort to go to bed.
Yeah, well, it's just no good because you take it into sleep with you. And I think the other thing that people do, they worry about things. So I say, if you've got things on your mind when you're going to bed, then write it down. Clear your mind of it, because if you're worried, oh, have I done that? Oh, I need to think about that for the morning. Then your brain is, you're not going to switch your brain off. Your brain is going to be in there. And so it is just clear your mind in some way. Write a note so that you remember to do that thing in the morning. And also, I think about thinking about good things before you go to sleep as well. I think there is an app you could use. It's called 3 Good Things. You can write down 3 things that have been good about the day. And I think that's quite a good one for going to bed, because you can think, okay, what's been good about today? And you're taking that into your sleep with you, rather than, oh my God, I need to remember to call that client tomorrow. I need to remember to do that one thing. And if you're doing that, you'll never, ever sleep.
No, because you're just making your brain more active. It's like you need to switch off, but that's the issue. It's like females having an issue with switching off because we're very busy. We're spinning all the plates, aren't we?
Yeah.
So that's the perimenopause. Menopause is a time where it's basically like a software update. You need to do self-care, self-love. You really need to take care of yourself in that time. And that really is your stress hormones. Because when we get into the menopause, if you've not looked after yourself, perimenopause, there's lots of like autoimmune things, like 75% autoimmune diseases are female. That's us like not taking care of ourselves when all our hormones are shifting. We're more prone to heart things. So heart disease as we get older and we're losing our hormones, osteoporosis, our brain atrophy. So dementia is quite high risk for women. So it's worthwhile putting in the effort to look after yourself and not just saying, yeah, I'll do it, I will do it. Like actually, you know, taking the supplements, eating the good food, prioritizing yourself, your sleep, exercise, enjoyment as well. Do you know what I mean? And it really is such an important time to do that. I couldn't stress that enough.
No.
But getting the foundations right and then adding the supplements in is what I would say.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't just rely on supplements. You've got to have healthy eating as well. But I think, you know, top it up. I top it up, and that's how I view.
Yeah, you do want to top it up because you don't get the same from the foods anymore. So topping up is always a good idea. But I mean, it's just shocking that we're just left to feel this way without any help. I mean, weight gain is an actual real thing that does happen to us. Our body changes, you know, we're losing muscle, which obviously helps burn fat. That's why strength training really, really good for this age. So you want to keep your muscle as long as possible, but we lose it as we get older. Do you know what I mean? So it's all these things, all these shifts, your body changing, you're just not feeling yourself. Your periods are heavier. You know, you can have really crazy long period cycles in the perimenopause, or you can have a 2-day period.
Yeah.
That's because your body's trying to hang on to its fertility. So, I mean, you might hear of people getting pregnant in their 40s randomly.
Yeah.
It's because your estrogen is really high. That's why HRT, so an estrogen HRT is no good.
I was going to ask you about that. About what's your views on HRT? I couldn't take it. I wasn't because literally because I'd had breast cancer, and therefore, you know, they say no, HRT is off the menu for you. So, and I got through. You know, I got through without it, so I was fine.
I mean, it's meant to happen, isn't it? It's meant to happen, and there's a loads of arguments that say, yes, but we live longer now, so. But that's not true, because menopausal women back in ancient times were really useful. They were the person that helped look after the tribe because they'd been done having the babies. So that's not true. For me, I like to stay as natural as possible. Also, my mum, like you, she had breast cancer, and I feel like it was a lot to do with HRT, because she was on it for a wee while. She had a hysterectomy, get put on HRT, but her estrogen was really high. See, if I look back now, this is actually what got me into doing this female health, because I was able to sit and look back at all the medical mistakes that had been made that led my mum to getting breast cancer. So I was like, there's something that's wrong. Like, if she'd have known this, we could have done this. If we'd have known that, she wouldn't have done that, and we could have avoided things. But so I'm funny with HRT. I think if you are really suffering, it's ruining your life. You know, things like vaginal atrophy, that's when you're just swollen, tight, dry. If it's things like that, then you need to get somebody that's really clued up on hormones and look for a bioidentical form of HRT. Now, back in the day, when maybe you were prescribed HRT, if you were going to be, my mum was prescribed it, it was actually urine from a pregnant horse. So you got the hormone. That's not going to be bioidentical to our body. Our body's not going to recognise this. You're taking it in pill form, it's going through your liver, it's all kinds of bad. So now there's loads of bioidentical forms of HRT coming out. So you've got estradiol, which is our body will recognise that as estrogen and use it as estrogen. However, there's other things, there's plant forms of estrogen that can help you out too. There's things like an organic soya, there's things like flaxseed, that your body will recognise that as an estrogen and use it. So you can naturally give yourself a wee hand. But I mean, if it's ruining your life and, you know, you're going having a terrible time, then go on HRT, but really, really make sure you're with somebody that knows what they're talking about, knows it's bioidentical, and that you can feel confident in that person, you know. And GPs aren't trained in it. You'll need to go to a specialist. They would have had to have done another course on top of it, and most of them haven't. So just ask to be referred. It's not a hassle. Go to there's loads of menopause specialists there now, and you can talk to them about things like kind of hormone identical HRT. Again, I'm like you, Wendy, I'm just a bit more like it's a natural thing that's kind of meant to happen, and maybe just rather support my body through it.
Yeah, I have to say, I guess there was stuff going on, but when you're fighting cancer, you don't really realise what's related to the cancer and what's related to you know, the perimenopause, because you're just getting on with life. I mean, so who knows actually? But yeah, I just have that that thought, because I hear all kinds of stories about people, women taking it and not taking it, how they feel about it. And then I remember a friend saying to me, well, she was told by her GP that if she took HRT, when she came off it, she was just putting off the evil day and she would go through the menopause anyway. So, you know, it's that kind of, well, what, you know, it seems that we've got to investigate it really, rather than just going to your doctor and say, give me the pills.
Yeah, no, but then we do that with loads of things. Like allopathic medicine, there's symptoms. We want rid of our headache. We don't really care why we've got a headache. It's just, can you get rid of that headache? So that's just the Western medicine, isn't it? I think that HRT definitely has its risks. It's got to have its risks. You've got to pay some sort of debt for that. It won't stop the menopause, as in, like, say you said that your friend would stop HRT and then she would go through the menopause anyway. How it can help women is that sometimes people just fall off a cliff with the menopause. Do you know what I mean? HRT, you can taper it down so that the menopause doesn't hit you like a ton of bricks. So that can be a benefit from taking HRT, is that you can then sort of slow yourself into it.
Right.
Again, there's lots of studies saying that if your estrogen drops, that's when you're more at risk of all these health problems, like the osteoporosis, the senile dementia, the heart conditions. So people are saying that's a pro of taking HRTs, that then you're not susceptible to all these things. So there's very much, it's a 50-50. I think really you need to take care of yourself, you need to take responsibility for your health, and you need to do the things that are going to make your life better and thrive a wee bit more. Get the knowledge, get the understanding, and then you can make a really good informed decision. But other than that, if you've not taken care of yourself, if you've abused your body, if you smoke, if you've not exercised, if you're eating all the rubbish, there's no way that you're going to feel all right. I mean, I get clients and they're flabbergasted. I mean, I'm talking to clients who've had a bottle of wine a night and they're flabbergasted that they just feel so rubbish. And I'm like, I'd be flabbergasted if you felt good. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's it's like if you're going to take care of your body, it's like anything you're going to take care of, it's going to last a bit better, isn't it?
Of course, yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if I've said this to you before. I mean, it's something I preach constantly. I say, okay, have you got a car? And the client goes, yeah. Okay, so you fill it with fuel, you fill it with oil, you make sure the tires are pumped up, you get an MOT regularly, you get it serviced, yeah, because your life depends on your car, right? So this is the vehicle, your body is the vehicle that you're going to travel the rest of your life with, and you can't part exchange it for a new model like you can a car. No. So why the hell don't you take care of yourself? The vehicle that you've got, that's all you've got.
Yes, and this is what I say as well. But this is also the issue with women. We're sort of left in the dark because, see, when we were teenagers, we should have been taught how important ovulation is. We should have been, I mean, now it's been signed off as the 5th vital sign for teenage girls. That's how important a period is. So, because it's a monthly report card of what's going on in your body. I mean, if you miss a period, it means something. Different colours of blood means something. If you've got period cramp, it means something that you can change and then take control of. But we're not taught that when we're a teenager. So we just kind of go through it. And then, I mean, I didn't realise I lost my period for maybe 3 years because I was over-exercising and not eating enough. Nobody told me that your brain will switch your ovaries off. I mean, if somebody had told me that, I would have maybe adjusted my training a bit, but we're not taught.
No.
You know? And every time you ovulate, you are putting into the bank of good health for when you're older. Do you want to ovulate? You know? It's crazy.
But then when you think about it, the contraceptive pill and the effect that can have if, you know, the pill that stops your periods completely and stops you ovulating, all of that. And we have to think about that as well. Surely that's another part of the puzzle. And now my concern is that you can get the pill over the counter.
Yes.
But there's no health checks.
No.
And whether it's the right pill for you or whether it
interacts with anything else you're on, or
absolutely,
it's crazy. Like the pill will just shut down your own hormone production, so it's pressing stop on that, and that's not solving any issues. And that's the sad thing, is it's actually getting used to treat period symptoms, but it's not fixing anything. Like you have a teenager that goes to the doctor with bad skin, they'll get put on the pill at 14 years old. And that will stop the acne, but it's not fixed the problem. When she comes off the pill, when she hits perimenopause, it's waiting in the sidelines, you know? And it's shocking that it's used as a treatment, because it shouldn't be used as that. It's not a period fixer. It's not a hormone fixer. It just stops. And a lot of women say, but I still have a period on it. But you don't. You have a medical withdrawal bleed. That's what it's called. And you have it every 28 days because psychologically it makes you feel better. But you could run your pill for 58 days and have a period. But the people that are selling the pill know that you'll feel better if you think you're having a period every 28 days and you'll stay on it. I mean, it does nothing for your health at all, you know?
But as you say, that's it, they treat the symptoms, not the cause. And I can remember, going on the pill because it stopped me having bad period pains.
Yes.
But there was not enough investigation, as you say. All right, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but surely they must be learning more from it. But they're still carrying on the same way.
Mm-hmm. The pill is from the 1950s. I mean, the 1950s, we were promoting smoking as like a cool health thing. Do you know what I mean? Like the 1950s, and we're still using something from the 1950s, 2022. It's like crazy. And you're talking loads of different contraceptives, like the Jag that you can get does the same thing. It's not good for you either. You know, anything that's going to disrupt your hormones is not good at all. I don't know if you've seen that I work with a company called Natural Cycles, and it's all about how you use your body temperature and an app on your phone to track when you're fertile. So when days you can avoid getting pregnant, basically,
Right.
days that you're free to have sex because you'll not be able to get pregnant. Because most women don't realise you can only get pregnant 6 days out of the month.
Theoretically, except it doesn't always work, I have to say. Yeah, I mean, you've got a better chance because that was the original kind of
Yes.
contraceptive. That's all there was before the 50s. And withdrawal method and all other kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the one thing that the pill gave was women having more freedom because they could choose when they got pregnant.
Yeah, it brought in that kind of industrial revolution for women. They could work, they could have a career. They weren't, pregnant at 19 and they're now at home and they've missed out on all this. And I do understand that, but to use it as a fixing a period thing, it's not good. And there's loads of things now. I mean, natural cycles they're like 98% effective. So is the pill. So it's just up to you what you're wanting to risk. But with the pill, you're going to pay a massive health debt.
Yeah.
When you're older or when you're younger,
Yeah, and I think it's just that people want that quick fix, the instant fix, but they're not thinking about the longer term problems that they're storing up for themselves.
Not being told the longer, which is shocking. I mean, I tell people about this and they're shocked. I think if you were told all this and told about the medical withdrawal bleed, and then you can make the decision now, most people would then say no thanks. But it's the fact that they don't know all these things and they've been on it for like 15 years. That's crazy.
Yeah, but then I think there are some that they just want that instant fix, and they're not thinking there is going to be something in the future that could cause a problem. Well, I'm okay now. Otherwise, why would people carry on smoking?
Yes.
If you know that in the future is storing up problems for you or could do, then surely those people wouldn't smoke.
Exactly.
But that's it. I'm getting that gratification now. It's fixing what's going on now. So therefore, it's not going to happen. I could just dismiss it.
Yes, but it's that hindsight thing. I mean, I deal with people who have left it till they've got a health problem and wish they hadn't, because there's nothing that's more valuable than your health.
No.
There's nothing, you can't enjoy anything if you don't have your health. It's tough. So I get people who, and it's sad when they're sitting in front of you and they say, I wish I had, so you're just trying to basically stop people from having to sit down and have that conversation going, I wish that I had looked after my health. I wish that I knew. Do you know what I mean? So it's just trying to put as much information out there so that people don't have that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't it?
Well, we could go on forever. We were going to talk about the menopause, but we've talked about everything women related almost, apart from pregnancy. But yeah, we've covered a lot. Kristeen, I can't thank you enough. I really, I do follow you on Instagram, and I just think you have some amazing information out there. And I know that you really have studied it. So it's not as if you've put some real research into what you put out there. And I think that's important. But how can people get in touch with you, Kristeen? If they want to learn more or actually work with you, what's an easy way?
An easy way is definitely the Instagram, because I'm most active on there.
Okay, and it is?
At KPing Fit. So it's KPing Fit. You just got that tonight, didn't you, Wendy? That was
no, I got it before, but I just double checking it. Yeah, but it is.
KPing Fit. So I'm on there, and there's loads of free information on there. Just scroll down, you'll learn a good ton of stuff, and you can have a listen to some of the podcasts, and even Wendy's been on my podcast. See?
Yeah.
So you can learn all about that.
Yeah. And I've got, any other information about you, I'm going to put in the show notes anyway. But so that people understand a bit more about you as well. But thank you so much for today. It's been absolutely fascinating.
Thanks for having me.
Such a lot of information you've shared. So thank you.
I hope you found this episode interesting as well as helpful. And you can find out more about my guest by going into the show notes. If you'd like to learn more about me, then go to my website, wendykatewell.co.uk. And there you can also book a call and find out how you can work with me. In the meantime, take care of yourself. Until next time, bye.